Well, hello and welcome. We are the Shills, and this is MidWeek PubChat, the show where we sit down and take a look at the issues in a little bit more detail, focus on the chat and the guest a bit more, and get into the depth of things. But hey, maybe we'll have a video, maybe there's two, who knows? Let's see how it goes. So to get this rolling, we have to hand it over to a man who has such a deep-seated hatred for the pseudosciences that he devoted his life to actually talking to these people to figure out what the hell's wrong with them. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jim Bojo.
Thank you very much indeed, Dick Dawson. And it's good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you are. I'm Jim Bojo. You're watching the City Shield Midweek Pub Chat, and we, as ever, are the Shills. As we move forward, we're going to be slowly moving the formats around a bit as we try new things with the show. And with that in mind, we're going for a slightly more guest-oriented show this week, so we can have a bit more of a chance to talk to them about what they've been up to and what's new in the world of Woo. Also, just a quick note to all the moderators in the chat. Remember, we operate a fairly free speech platform here, so if anyone in the chat is starting to spout some real hatred, some real racism, absolutely, you know, proper hate speech, or maybe they're just piling on someone who doesn't really want to be involved in the argument and won't leave them alone, fine, you feel free to time them out and remove them. But otherwise, let them call us dickheads, let them make fun of us. I mean, we couldn't possibly do what we do unless we were allowed to sling a little bit of shit their way. So if it's coming back, I think that's all fair game. Now, moving on, I think we're going to be trundling around the table as usual, checking to see who's here and what they've got to share this time. First up, Dick Dawson, man with a plan. How are you doing, sir? You got anything new this week?
Well, my week has just been an absolute crapshoot of some new homeschooling regimes and whatnot, and everything has been on hold otherwise in life. So not a lot to announce for World Model Feud. Been doing some work in the background on the Shills, you know, to get the new pub chat ready and stuff. And that's about it here. So I'll pass it on to the next person.
Oh, nice. Well, there's some interesting stuff in the works, though, anyway. Next up, then, Dead Kennedy in Space. Hello, sir. How are you doing this week? What have you got up new on the table?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks. I'm kind of just recovering from a mirror from Bob the Science Guy this morning, which has caused me to go up by like 300 plus subs in a day. So it's kind of amazing.
That's cool, man.
He's probably not watching, but he may watch at some point. So thank you very much to Dr. Bob for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a scholar and a gentleman, that chap, isn't he? Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Bob. Let's see next on the table. Jack Mark, the Drunk Monkey. Oi, oi! How you doing, mate?
Oi, fucking oi, sir.
Oi,
still can't shout because I haven't moved.
Oh, not yet. Time will come, don't you worry. Well, what have you been up to this week? You got anything you want to tell people about?
Well, weirdly, Mr. Sensible, Logical Troglodyte, Glober Mum, and David Emery and myself all put a Daniel the fucking penis dribble Pratt video out, and we got a response. Yeah, the four of us got 14 seconds response from him, and I played half of the video because it was wank. Other than that, I thought I was going to be back to normal next week, but the guy that's supposed to be coming back to work today got stopped at the airport last night because his visas ran out. He's not English. So, it's not looking like I'm going to be having any days off soon. So, I'm not sure what's going to be happening yet. And another thing, I've been looking around for a few people for Creators Corner. And there's a couple of people in mind. And there's one in the chat I just want to shout out. His name is Bert Rickles. He's in the chat now.
Hello, Bert Rickles.
Go check his channel out, man.
That's a great name.
He's got some good ideas and some good things coming. I've chatted to him.
Lovely stuff. All right, well, that's a brilliant shilling. Thanks very much, chat, Mike. That's brilliant. Now, I think we've got the sarcastic barman somewhere. Hello, Squire. How are you doing? How's the pub trend doing?
Quiet this week, but it's to be expected. The start of September, it tends to be. But because it was quiet, it did mean I got to go to Cardiff yesterday and see the World Tour Flat Earth Crazy People. So that was amusing.
Yes, indeed. I was going to ask about that. That might come up later as well. You and AB Science, in fact, there were a couple of little tweets that I noticed going out.
Kicked ass. It was so good just to listen and watch. It was like, oh God, you have so much brains. It's scary.
I've got to know. I've got to know. What was he like, Mark Sargent? What's he like?
He's really nice. We spoke very briefly about Flat Earth and then talked about other YouTube things, TVs, movies. Spent a bit of time saying how shit the new Star Wars films were. So, yeah, he's really nice to talk to. Which you can understand why he's dangerous.
Well, yeah,
Pardon me.
quite. This is what I always thought. This is his whole shtick, isn't it? Is that he's Mr. Nice. You know, you sit him next
Yeah.
to someone like Nathan Roberts, who's like uber twat, and he just seems like the nicest guy in the universe, and people want to actually listen to him. They come out of conversations where he's told them we live in a snow globe, going, "Yeah, but you know, I can sort of see his point," which is fucking terrifying. At least with Roberts, you know what you're getting, right?
Yeah, the difference between him and some of the other flat earthers I've interacted with is ridiculous. But there were a few crazy ones there. But some of them were nice to talk to. And I think it was Flat Earth British. Oh my God, he's a nutbag.
Oh, great.
So, yeah.
Good to see you representing the side. Lovely. All right. Well, look, thank you very much indeed for that. That's brilliant stuff. And now we've got one left. We've got Logical Troglodyte. Hello, sir. What's been going on in Cave Town this week? No random dinosaur attacks?
Actually, no. We've been hard at work in the background. Jeff from Steven Cup and Reason and I putting together a episode 2 of Logic and Reason, which will be airing at midnight Central Daylight Time, September 22nd. Special guest will be Mike Bertelson and AT2 Productions. The topic of conversation will be the conspiracy claim that math isn't reality. We've also working hard on a 666 subscriber special, which is due to air September the 28th rather, at 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time, September the 29th, 0300 British Summertime. We have a great cast of panel members for that live show, including fellow creators and subscribers. It's going to be an interesting, fun time. Be there or be a flurf.
Absolutely. I think that's brilliant. I'm looking forward to that immensely. Right. Now, for everyone in questions and comments, we have the magnificent Amy Hogan, who's going to be manning the webs. So if you at the Shills, she's going to be able to get those messages to us with very great alacrity. Hello, Amy. How are you doing this evening? Is there anything in the chat yet that you wanted to bring up? Or have you got anything else you want to update us on this week?
No, everything's going great here, but I did want to say Shilly Shillington said at the Shills at home recovering from surgery 2 days ago. Lots of love for the Shills. So,
oh, man.
Well, get well soon, Shilly. Right on. Get well soon.
You know, for those in the know, Shilly Shillington is formerly known as Demonic Davros. He and I have been around. I think he's been around a little bit longer than me, but we've basically been floated on YouTube for similar times. A lot of the early subs we had were very similar. He's a bit of a legend. He's done some fantastic comment. I think he's even done a debate or two at this point, although I might be misremembering. He's definitely worth getting over and looking at.
And he's a scary, smart individual, that guy.
Oh, is he not? It's right, terrifying. So I could give AB a bit of a run for his money. Anyway, right,
so.
Okay. Thank you. Now, tapping furiously away in the background, making us all look good and so sweet, is the technical whiz kid and electron wrestler, Mr. Tatty Bogle. Hello, sir. How are you doing this fine day?
Good evening, good evening. I'm doing Dan Diddley-o, sir. Dan Diddley-o, just looking forward to getting this show on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is there anything you wanted to mention before we kick off for the evening? Any shelling you want to do for yourself? Someone else you've seen? Something cool you want to point out?
No, to be quite honest, I'd just like to echo Dead Kennedy Spaces. Thanks for the mirrors for his channels, and also I noticed there was another couple of mirrors went out for someone not 100 miles away from here.
Indeed. All right, well, thank you very much indeed. So you are going to be pulling all those levers and making everything look fantastic for the evening. Now, normally this is the point where I say I'm Jim Bojo, I talk to people and my cat debunks flirts, but I actually this week I owe a particularly big grate of gratitude to both Messrs. Dead Kennedy in Space, our very own Mr. Kennedy, and Where's Wally, both of whom have seen fit to mirror one of my videos in the last sort of 24 to 48 hours. The response I've received has been absolutely overwhelming. I'm literally going to have to devote my Saturday now to going through all the comments, saying hello to everyone, and sort of being so. Thank you so much, guys. I'm like overwhelmed by it. I just like to point out, 48 hours ago I had 322 subs. I'm currently on 520 something. So you guys have played me an absolute blind. You very nearly double.
Jimbo.
Yeah.
What did I tell you? It's because you're fucking awesome, mate. I told you
If you
that.
like the cat.
So you make sure
the cat
you
has
pass
skills,
that on
buddy.
to the cat.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what I think it's the accent they must like.
Mate, that's the start of it. You're going to be up around Logical by Christmas, if not before. You mark my fucking words. I know what I'm talking about.
All right, well, look,
And
thank you all guys again.
Speaking of cats,
well, absolutely. That's sort of my talking. Basically, I've talked to the team. It's only time that I basically let me see. See now all of that has overwhelmed me. I've completely lost where I was in the script. It's time for me to introduce our special guest. He's an extremely well-known contributor to the debunking scene. He's got special emphasis on like rebutting dodgy claims about the shape of the Earth and other questions of sort of physics. You may know him from his regular appearances on Jose J.G. Gonzalez live debates channels and 82 Productions weekly veterans talks. Now I'm hoping this works because until I observe him, he's technically in a state of superposition where he both is and is not actually present. So with great pleasure and more than a little trepidation, I'd like to introduce Schrodinger's cat. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I can indeed confirm that I am here.
Oh, thank God. The
And
waveform collapsed.
The waveform
Brilliant
did
stuff.
collapse, and I could not be fucking happier than I am right
Oh,
now.
well, us too, man.
First, I'm on the Shill Show again. You guys invited me back, which confirms that I'm not a total loser.
Oh, man,
Second,
you're amazing. We love you.
yeah, my channel's growing slowly but surely. I'm creeping towards 1,000 subscribers. My son, I'm getting there. My son started school, and I got a phone call from his teacher that said that he is blindingly smart. Her words, not mine.
How good is that?
Chip off the old block.
great news
the
indeed.
kicker. Great news is getting better. I was offered and accepted earlier this week a new job. I will be, as I am trained, an electrical engineer to the tune of $37,000 more than the job that I'm leaving.
Nice.
Done, sir. Congratulations.
And I really
Congrats.
wasn't.
Congratulations.
I really wasn't doing too bad to begin with, so I'm pretty damn happy.
Nice. That is a
Yeah, I wouldn't
sizable
say.
jump. Be very proud.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
And my last reason that I'm very happy right now will be auditory.
I love it.
Excellent. Yeah.
And I will
nice.
turn it back to you, gentlemen.
Well, actually, no, you say that, but this is the point in the show where what I do is get the audience watching and my panel to sort of raise some talking points with you. You are our guest. We want to have a bit of a chat to you this time. Instead of just jumping straight into the first debunk, I thought we'd find out. Look, I can ask very boring, basic questions, right? My interview questions, and then everyone else is going to jump in. So, is there anything in the pipeline at the moment, sort of, videos that you've got coming, projects ahead, stuff that other people have got, whatever, that you want to really get to the audience now and say, look, you guys need to go and see this?
I start the new job Monday morning. So my plan is tomorrow or the next day to get out a new video. I don't know what that's going to be. I suspect that when I start the new job that my time will be limited somewhat. I'll be doing a lot of traveling, which will help with doing maybe some observations, because I will be in coastal regions as we're basically a naval contractor. So I'll be going. I'll be on all sorts of different Navy ships, and
excellent.
the camera will be traveling with me. So I'm gonna put something out this weekend. My most recent video was about the lady Marilyn Spirit Level.
That was so good.
Who has me blocked and will not agree to debate me. Because she has me blocked. So I looked at one of her more recent videos and someone said, well, I want you debate Schrodinger's cat. So I'm not saying to everyone who's listening to go to her channel and ask her why she won't debate Schrodinger's cat.
There you
but
go.
I'm not saying to do that.
Well done, sir. That is professional shilling at its finest. I second that motion. Everyone listening, you heard what the man said, and you heard what he definitely did and did not tell you specifically.
That's right. Nobody said you should do anything. It's just, there's nothing wrong with examining the options of what people might do.
Indeed, potential outcomes. It's just statistical
That's right.
analysis, and then what you choose
That's
to do off the back of that analysis is, of course, entirely your own decision. Now, look, I want to turn to the panel a little bit and find out if they've got anything that they wanted to ask our guest, or even if they just wanted to talk about this week, because there's been a few sort of crazy happenings in the world of woo, and I'm sure Schrodinger's cat's got a few interesting stories to tell as well. I mean, I saw one or two of his debates recently. So what if I turn to Jumpmonk the Drunk Monkey? What do you reckon, sir? You got anything to ask?
I'm just trying to remember if I've actually been on the panel when you've been. I think I have, when you've been on Jose's panel.
Yeah, I'm certain you both have. I'm not sure we weren't all on one myself, to be honest, because I seem to recall being in a Jose hangout with him too.
Yeah.
I'm
Are you
not sure.
Are you still going in there at all, or?
Oh yeah, I was on there today.
Oh, was you?
really?
Yeah, because
Oh,
I haven't
nice.
been in for a long time, and I was actually thinking today, like, probably because I've been at work every fucking day. I've had 3 days off in more than 5 weeks now, so there you go.
Blimey.
But
Right.
I really have missed it. Is it
Right.
Well, Monkey, you're my wife thinks that you are hilarious. I specifically will pause when you start talking and go and find her and then hit unpause just so she can laugh.
Monkey's on. The monkey's on. Come down. He's playing again.
Oh, dear.
That's brilliant.
Do you know
I
what?
can just imagine that.
I actually hear that a lot, that people's wives seem to like me. Mr. Sensible's wife likes me.
She says
Someone
you
else's
sound like
wife
Russell
likes
Brand.
me as well. It's like I'm pulling all the wives.
Like Russell Brand. Nice.
That's what she said.
That,
She said that you sound like Russell Brand.
I got told I sound like Ricky Gervais a little bit. I was like, really? But
yeah, well, do you know, Swindon and Reading accents aren't all that different. I can hear that more than I can hear the Russell Brand thing, to be honest. But
yeah, but
sorry,
I've
I'm going
lived
to
in
embarrass
London
you
as well, so there, it might.
Well, yeah,
sway
no,
a
you've
bit.
got the accent. You've got a bit of a talk on your sunshine. You fucking
I
toilet,
fucking
you
haven't I,
say.
bruv?
Yeah, right. Sorry, I've come over all London now. Right. What about sarcastic barman? How about you? Oh, I beg your pardon. Before I go there, I see Dick Dawson's buzzed in the chat. Is there something you wanted to add, mate?
Yeah, I wanted to get Schrodinger's cat's outlook. That was a little double S there that tripped me up. But I wanted to get his outlook on what's going on with FE Core in the scene right now. Have you, looked into that much? Got an opinion or two? Anything you want to say on that matter?
I mirrored the video that Reds asked everyone who was willing to mirror. I think that FE Core has shot themselves in the foot, and there's it's just a matter of time before the hammer drops on that.
Absolutely.
I don't see how they can come back from it.
Well, no, it's like they've overstepped them up. But I mean, this is something that we were talking about in the green room, actually, I think, where I've posited the position that they know exactly what they're doing, and they are essentially trying to create. Well, what they thought they were doing was trying to create a victim narrative. They thought they'd get kicked off YouTube, and then they'd be able to justifiably move to a different platform where they can charge more money and say, "Look, sorry guys, we do it on YouTube, but they've kicked us off. You'll have to follow us here now. Sub. And it's backfired in the respect that what happened was YouTube didn't pick it up quick enough. And so someone took legal action. And now it's going to go really fucking badly for them because they've got the actual law to deal with rather than just a ban from YouTube. I think you're right. They're going to struggle to come back from this. It's difficult to see how they could have done this accidentally.
Well, they did it to strong-willed people and the research skills of one Sean Hufford, who, as far as research goes and digging through data, is probably one of the best.
Indeed. I think I can agree there. Now, I see Logical Troglodyte's got something he wants to add. Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Oh, fine. I'm wondering, Kat, this flat Earth seems to be kind of dying a low, slow, ugly, pus-filled death, but it is dying. And sooner or later, all that we're going to have left is the Pratts and the Maryland Spirit levels and the NREMs. What direction, if any, are you going to take your channel when that's all that's left?
Good question.
Yeah, so I've been looking towards sovereign citizens.
Oh yeah,
they're complete fools. They look like they would be so much fun to take down, man. I can't wait. I got to do one too.
They've been
Right.
around so long, you know. I used to watch those videos when I was like not quite a teenager, but mid-20s, so like 7, 8, 9 years ago now. Like I used to be
Yeah,
seeing people putting stuff on YouTube, but it's fascinating.
But
Yeah,
but Jim Bojo, sorry, but would you consider it correct that the original sovereign citizens had a little bit more brains in their head and were actually following the loopholes of the law, whereas now
Yeah.
we're just getting the Dan Pratts and in rems? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, in my country, what they do is they use Magna Carta, which is something that was drawn up 1,000 or more years ago. I'm not even joking; it's been that long. In order to justify their laws, they every act of Parliament that's happened since Parliament was formed in like 15 whatever hasn't counted as a law, and it's like, no, doesn't count, doesn't apply to me. I only read this law that is conveniently old enough to not say anything useful about paying my taxes. So it's a way for people not to have to pay their television license in my country. I don't know really how it works in America, if there's any other attachment to it.
Well, also in the Venn diagram with sovereign citizens and flat earthers, they're almost right on top of each other.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, right. They're
There's
like
also
little planetoids around the major body of crazy. Sorry, go on.
Right. So there's another guy that I've been following for years. He calls himself the Jedi, and he is
That's encouraging, isn't it?
right. He's an African American Muslim who wants nothing more than to kill all white people.
Oh, marvelous!
Right. He actually
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, he actually made a video called "My Case Against Nonviolence." The problem with that is that before I started becoming a content creator, his video was taken down. Well, his channel was taken down, and his new channel is much more not subdued, but he's just boring now. I think he's trying to create this content without getting his channel taken down. So I can't find anything worth making a video about. But
too bad.
Right.
That is the endless
There's several
problem, isn't it?
others.
Go on.
Yeah, I'm good. I agree with Logical Troglodyte. I'm going to have to pivot to something, and I'll find something.
Sure. I mean, look, I got into Flat Earth because I started off watching things like The Atheist Experience and, you know, Sam Harris and all of this. And basically, I've been looking at religious apologetics for various reasons. It had come up in my life, and I sort of had an interest in it. And it was from following the young Earth creationists, you know, the world is 6,000 years old, that I worked my way sort of down the pile towards this. And the thing I'm concerned about now is if you can't focus on Flat Earth, which is beginning to become obvious, you just can't. All the other stuff's been done by much better people because they all went for this like higher brow stuff. Your Iron Ras, your Logics, your Vice Rhinos, they're all dealing with all of these big gravitas laden subjects. I mean, I'm going to have to go to mud flood at this point. I've got no niche. Do you know what I mean? I really have no idea.
What we're stuck with now is people like Spurkisma just saying that pressure isn't real.
Oh God, yeah, he's a lot of fun. Well, it's temperature, isn't it, for him? Pressure and temperature are the same thing, no matter how you demonstrate to him that they're different.
Right.
Right.
And you know, between the community, we got to come up with a simple way to demonstrate the pressure gradient and how it works and actually produces the effect needed. Because that argument is getting so stupid to us who actually understand what's going on. There's got to be a simple demonstration. You know, like
we take a balloon, you half. Oh, sorry, Schrodinger, go on.
Oh, I'm sorry, but there's two that I can think of. Take a balloon and in an elevator in a tall building. Go from the bottom floor to the top.
Good idea.
Or in a temperature controlled cabin of a car with the same balloon drive up a mountain.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're at the top, turn the temperature up and down on the heater to prove whether or not the balloon gets bigger and smaller, just to really cancel Spurkismo's out.
There you go.
Yeah,
But
and
Dick,
then,
space, it looks to me like, oh, sorry, Dick.
Oh, I was just thinking maybe use a couple of cameras at once to try to negate the whole fake CGI thing, something like that,
Oh
right?
yeah, nice. Do you realise we're designing a foolproof blurf experiment here just to prove Spurkismo an obvious Poe wrong?
Anti-Flatter said it the other day. I wish he was here right now. He said something about he was going to look into something that something to do with crystals maybe or something I can't remember, and put out a video to warn people off. And I called it proactive debunking. Like, you know what I mean? Get it before it starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
Yeah,
Now look, I see Dead
was-
Kennedy in. Oh, sorry, Schrodinger.
Oh.
Dead Kennedy in space. Bless him. He's been trying to get in for ages now, and I'd be really remiss if I didn't let him step in. Kennedy, mate,
Yes,
how you
go
doing,
ahead,
buddy?
sir.
I was just going to mention when it comes to the pressure gradient, my go-to is always like, is Spurs outright denying that the air gets thinner as you go higher up? Because all you need to do is drive up a hill to know that.
He's saying that it's the fact that it's also getting colder that does it, though. He's basically saying like pressure and temperature are like this sort of big contiguous thing, like space-time or something. It's novel. I'll give him that, but it's just obviously wrong. You can control them as independent variables from one another. You can demonstrate a pressure change affecting a balloon, but a temperature change not doing. So, like a good example is you could sort of combine this experiment. You
I
can
think,
have a car
honestly,
and you
he's
drive up a hill.
To
sort of
troll
thing.
both sides.
Go on.
Well,
Yeah, I think he's trolling flat earthers and globe earthers.
Yeah. I think he thinks he's playing some higher game. Whatever's going on, it's not convincing anyone anymore. He tried to convince me I'd said that evolution would prove humans would have 3 arms eventually. That was an interesting 2 hours.
What?
Don't. I used to debate him quite a lot, actually. Me and him have history. Now, Sarcastic Barman, I see you're raring at the taps, ready to pour out a point. What have you got for us?
Well, I was going to go back to the Spurs thing because he was in Cardiff yesterday and he brought up the argument of temperatures, pressure, and stuff like that.
Did he now?
And we tried to point out that if you go up Snowdon, there's obviously a cafe at the top, and the tea tastes like shit at the top of Snowdon because the water doesn't boil properly.
Yeah, it only gets to about 80 degrees, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
but then we were saying that you can have a nice hot sunny day at the top of Snowdon, and it can be raining down in Porthmadog, which isn't far away, and it's at sea level. And it's like, no, it's just the temperature. It's like, no, it's not temperature. There's pressure is involved in this, and he just really wouldn't understand it. It was fucking ridiculous.
It's willful, isn't it? It's terrible. Now, look, Amy Hogan, I haven't even called on you once barely so far, but I was hoping that we could sort of build up a nice few things for you to bring out. Have we got anything that you wanted to bring forward from the audience, questions or comments of your own? Anything really?
Absolutely. Thoughts by Jay Brown wants to know if you're still going to do Schrodinger's cat some videos on navigation, because he still wants to help out with that. We've got a person in the chat who has tingly bits for Shills.
Well, that's always nice to know.
Absolutely. That's always great to know. So, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, lovely stuff. Well, okay, then, that being the case.
I think you forgot, and we have someone called Shite Shovel.
I call Poe immediately. I do not think they're real.
Oh, really?
No.
No, because all they've said is just Jesus is Lord, repent to Jesus. That's all they've said. And we've got Dark Knight Apologetics in here, who's a Christian who accepts that the Earth is a globe. What do you think, man?
People. Indeed. Well, we'll get a response.
Hey, Dead Kennedy, I got one for you. Good old Canadian joke. Jesus saves. Gretzky gets the rebound. He scores.
Oh, come on. I'm English. Even I got a hockey joke. That's brilliant. Right, now, look, there's a couple of people we haven't talked to so far, or at least very minimal amounts. Logical Troglodyte, what are you thinking at the moment?
I'm thinking that about I've said you and I have talked about this before. Yeah, you and I've talked about this before, about the evolution of conspiracy theories, where by the time you get out on that long, thin branch of flat Earth, they subscribe to all the other conspiracy theories that came before. So I don't really think I have to look that far to find out they're stupid. I've been going through the Flurfs channel subscriptions and their commenters, and I'm finding some really, really wild, stupid I found one guy, and Babes is working on a 100 subscribers special based on this one idea that this idiot put out, that water is bad for you and will kill you.
Oh, for the love of God.
Wow.
Now, he might have a point if you drown, but he's trying to convince people not to drink water.
If you have any overflows, send it to me so I can make some videos. I'm running out of ideas.
Absolutely.
That's worse than the whole breatharian thing, because at least they drink water, right? That's ridiculous.
Well, you say that. Some of them don't, or claim that they don't. We actually know what they do. So we go to McDonald's every goddamn lunchtime on their friend's time, and they say, "Oh no, I don't really eat. I just like to do it for the social life thing." It's just ridiculous. Like people who smoke when they drink and saying that they never smoke while simultaneously eating a breath mint. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting a lot of breath noise. I bet it's a logical troglodyte. Sorry, buddy. Or is it possibly my friend? Jump on the drunk monkey. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Logic's new mic is hot as hell.
Oh, I think it was Jump Monkey.
Hey, Monkey.
You're
No,
right,
it wasn't
mate.
me at all. I was miles
No?
away from my mic. I
All
think
right,
it was
whoever
Logic.
the train was, move your nose away from the microphone, please.
Yeah, no,
we got. Sorry, mate. Go on.
I don't have my headset on. I have it on the bed. I can hear you, and I'm away from the
My
mic.
mistake. I stand absolutely corrected.
Yeah,
when
I'm
Amy
getting
Hogan,
better
I
at
noticed-
this, you know. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
man.
of course you are, mate. You're brilliant. We love Jump, mate. You know what? Actually, you know what? In general, though, seriously, on a serious note, every week we say this after the show, right? Every week we add another layer to the show. Every week the show gets better. Now, I don't know about the people watching, but I reckon everyone's game since we started has transformed. We've gone from a bunch of nervous guys stuttering and talking over incessantly to a bunch of really confident people stuttering and talking over each other incessantly. So big steps, big improvements, I think. I want to know if anyone's got any questions from the audience again, because I've seen a couple of messages in our little secret green room from Amy. Oh, shut up, you go ahead, and then I'll call on Amy after.
You introduced me and then you spoke for me. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
I didn't have much to say anyway, except, shite, I can't even fucking say it. Shite shovel, shite shovel. Said, thanks for the shout out. Now he's going to get trolled. Listen, pal, no one from this community is that fucking low that they would troll you. Don't
And he doesn't have any
compare us to
content
them
control.
globe-denying fucktards.
Yeah, my experience is generally that our side of the argument doesn't go out and wantonly troll people. Although I will say I've left one or two ripe comments for people like Daniel Pratt in the past. Usually I'm responding to the bullshit they've said in the actual video, though. It depends where people draw the line on what they call trolling, because I hear that word an awful lot, and what people meant is, you said something I didn't like very much, so now he's a nasty troll and he's bullying me.
Yeah,
Pretty much what it boils down to.
when you got to think of, say, what happened to end the conspiracy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Imagine, right? How nightmarish was that? The poor guy. Also, Schrodinger's cat. I see you're looking to jump in. Sorry, mate. What did you have to add?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to respond to Amy had read out a comment from Jay Brown about whether or not I wanted to do more navigational videos. And the answer is yes, I do. We had done one prior. For people that don't know, I'm a retired surface warfare officer, and Jay Brown is a retired submariner. And we did a video before. And so the answer to his question is yes, I would like to do more in the future. I don't know how well they're received, because navigation is a foreign concept to a lot of people. So he and I are going to have to get together and find a way to simplify that for the audience. But yes.
Nice. Well, actually, I mean, it's just while we're on the subject, because I mentioned that you're in the Veterans Weekly Talks with Jared, and that's one of the first places I think I saw you. What sort of experience was it you had in the forces that you think is relevant towards this? You sort of have navigation experience. How that sort of thing?
Well, I had a really eclectic career. I started out as an avionics technician, so I worked on aviation electronics.
Okay.
I tricked the Navy into sending me to college on their dime.
Nice move.
And then I became a surface warfare officer, which means that I basically piloted Navy ships So, in the absence of the captain being on the bridge, I was the guy in charge of the safe navigation of the ship. I did that for about 6 years, and then I switched to the expeditionary community, which is kind of the ground side of the Navy.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And from there, I went to the Joint Special Operations Command as the maritime advisor to the commander, Joint Special Operations, who
Wow.
is a
You weren't
three-star.
kidding.
He's a three-star general, and basically they control Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, and some of the Ranger
Wow.
regiments, and some subordinate commands from there. From
That's
there, I
kind
went
of
to
awesome.
SEAL Team 2 as an operations officer, and I retired out of SEAL Team 2 in 2017.
Wow.
So I was all over the
You're
place.
not wrong. You were all over the place. But that has basically given you this really broad experience, and presumably it's taught you a few things on the way, which stand you in good stead now. Now, look, I've got my buzzing board is lit up with people who want to say stuff. So I'm going to go with Sarcastic Barman first. What did you have to add, mate?
I just wanted to ask Schrodinger's cat about one of his videos he did within the last week or so about Pete Shea, and wondering what happened with more of that after he obviously wanted to hang you, as I remember from the video, which I thought was a bit extreme. Have you had any more contact with him? Has he calmed down, or is he still just crazy and probably shouldn't be doing much chatting online?
No, he has reiterated since then that he would still like to see me hanged. In response, I sent him my home address and told him to have the courage of his convictions, and that I'm here whenever he's ready. My thought about that is, does he think that I should be hanged and he wants someone else to do the dirty work, or does he really think that I should be hanged and he's going to show up? So time will tell.
Nice. Well, absolutely. That'll be fascinating to see. Right now, Jack Monk, you've got something you want to throw in real quick, don't you? You want to shout out? That's a big yawning silence. Is it just my end?
Yo, so it's the mute button, wasn't it? No, he always says hi to us. So Unirock 2's in the house. He always gives us a shout out and says hi to us. So, yo, bro.
Oh, hello, mate. This guy, right, I mean, to anyone watching, of course they know who it is, but on the off chance one of you's had a very major head injury or has been living in a nuclear bunker recently, Unirock's doing some of the best content out there. He's sort of like, he's a bit like an old radio DJ at the same time as putting out this anti-conspiracy information. He's been dealing with all the up-to-date stuff happening in the community. You have to get over there. You have to watch his material. And he's just a thoroughly likable guy. Right, next, can I turn
he literally rocks.
Yeah. Ha! There you go. Can I turn to Dad Kennedy in Space? You wanted to add something, mate.
I just wanted to respond to a comment from John Rapp, who I'm very familiar with. He's a big fan of mine. He addressed it to the Shills and said, "Do you think as a species we're getting smarter or dumber? FE and conspiratards seem to suggest we are regressing." Now, you would think so, but I'm convinced it's just an increase in visibility of the dumb. I think the dumb was always there. We're just seeing it more prevalent now.
Sure.
And the information age just kind of spurred this spread of misinformation. So
Indeed.
I don't think we're stupider as a species.
It's not.
Just
there are numbers. There are numbers on this. I can direct people listening to a book by Steven Pinker, who you've probably heard of anyway, because you see him all over Nova documentaries, who's written a book called The Better Angels of Our Nature. And in it, he's basically gone through life and how good and or shit it is. And he's arrived at conclusions as to how things have basically just always got better, and they're still getting better continually in almost every metric. People are getting bigger, taller, stronger, faster, better in every way. And our lives are pretty cool now. And I know we see more shit because we have 24-hour news, and their whole job is to make things exciting on a constant basis when there just isn't that much news. And it's turned us into terrified people who all live in our flats. But the fact is, we're pretty much fine ultimately. So the Better Angels of Our Nature by Steven Pinker. Get out and watch it. Amy Hogan, I can see that you've also given me a bit of a buzz, so I'm going to turn to you next and see what the audience has to add. Amy.
Absolutely. I've got Dead Kennedy did read one of mine, so that's good. Pie Parrot said to Schrodingers to say hi before so she can go to bed. And Mr. Bozo Head said, have you ever met Deltard? See his latest nonsense interrogating Glasgow Uni students with his utter bollocks train shite.
That's a wonderful comment.
And then Touchpad wanted to know if we could take on some anti-vaxxers as well.
Yes, I want to.
Yes. I'm almost surprised. I think we've had one. Have we had a debunk video that we've had a bit of anti-vax at one point? I think it's one of our very earliest videos, episode 1 or 2. It might have even been the first, but yes, we should go back and do more of that. I think most people on the panel feel quite strongly, don't they?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's
And I would like to
definitely
say
one of the most
Pie Parrot is an absolute doll, and good night, young lady.
Ah, what a gentleman.
Can I just say
you were right, though. That was...
Sorry, go ahead, Jetmark.
Go, Kennedy.
I was just going to say about anti-vaxxers, the whole vaccines cause autism thing. This can be summarized in one sentence. Autism is a genetic disorder. Vaccines do not change your DNA. End of.
Yep. Well said. Absolutely. It is breathtaking how few people get that basic difference. You know, paracetamol, for instance, isn't changing your body so it can't make headaches. All it does is muck around with the chemistry that's there. The idea that you could take a pill that changed your DNA is bloody ludicrous. Now, does anyone on the panel want to make any sort of comments? Because as we're getting through this... Oh, yeah, Jetmonk.
Yeah, I was going to say that you were correct. That was the first episode, the anti-vax.
Nice. So
It
we
was
need to
our
get
first
back and do it,
episode.
don't we?
And I remember I'd been to a beer festival and I had a bag of fucking beer.
Nice. Oh, yeah, you did the bag of beer. I nearly forgot. That was amazing. I mean, you know, if you hadn't had that bag of beer, the Shills might not exist because it was such a fun night, wasn't it? You know, I've still gone back and listened to early episodes.
It was a celebration.
Yeah, absolutely. Worth it. Absolutely worth it. Now, look, our run time's kicking about 40 minutes at the moment. And we did have a little video we were thinking about looking at to do a sort of a mini debunk on. Now, if anyone else wants to cut in with any comments and so on, that's fine. Please shout now. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll go over to Dick Dawson and see if he wants to introduce our little debunk video.
Oh, is he not back
Maybe.
yet? You mentioned
Oh,
he was
maybe he
stepping
hasn't
away.
got back yet. Oh, my mistake. Oh, well, in that case, it's an easy enough one. It's Mr. Bob Nodell. He's going to say some silly things. They're going to be a picture of pressure vessels collapsing, and he will completely misunderstand what he's seeing. Tatty Bogle, sir, the man with the plan. Why don't you hit play on that video?
One video coming right up.
Jaron sent me this particular video, which we're about to watch, just before the show, and I about fell off my chair when I saw this. You know, talk about science going backwards and the fraud of science. Jaron, I don't even know how to introduce this video. Anything you want to say about it before I play it?
No, somebody sent it to me on Skype and said, "Did you hear this before? That the walls of the LEM were 2 sheets of foil thin?" And I was like, "What?" And so I watched it, and yeah, I immediately sent it to you because I couldn't believe what he found. But this is great.
I can't either. So you guys listen up to this. You're not going to believe it.
Good engineering.
Absolutely. Dead Kennedy and Space and Schrodinger's cat and Barman, you all dying to speak. So I'm going to go to the guest first. Schrodinger's cat, what did you have to add?
Okay, so on the limb, it's pressurized from the inside. The collapsing vessels that they're showing are depressurized from the inside. The limb was pressurized at, I'm going off memory, I believe 4.8 psi.
That's right.
Of oxygen, not air. It was pressurized by oxygen.
Am I right in thinking that they added nitrogen to it after the incident with the Apollo 1 fire?
I
think they were
not
running at
totally
about 5
sure.
psi pressure and about 80% nitrogen, and it meant that they didn't have to carry so much oxygen on board, and they could cycle it through and just scrub the CO2 out. I think I'm right. If Casual Spaceman's in the chat, he can let me know. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
But if they're worried about the thickness of the wall that is holding the pressure inside, they need look no farther than a Mylar balloon.
Yeah,
that's all I have.
Absolutely. Hey, well, do you know what, though? I wonder whether or not you'd point out a tin can as well, because your average can of Coca-Cola, other soft drinks are available, it's got an aluminium skin. It's a proportion of a millimeter thick, very much smaller than a fraction of an inch. And the pressure differential between inside and out is along the order of 1 atmosphere. I think it's about 12 to 15 psi, depending on the drink, which is a good deal greater than the difference between 5 psi in a spacecraft and space, right? And
Right.
I think,
And
I don't know this, but are they working towards the space being a sucking force thing again? I sort of
yeah,
feel it in
they
my bones.
believe in negative pressure, which is really odd. And
It's
I'll,
such a
I'll add really
bizarre idea.
quickly that on Navy ships we have which is what we call HP air, which is high pressure air, pressurized at 3,000 RPM. RPM, PSI. I said that out loud. 3,000 PSI, and no,
Good grief.
those that's not feet of steel holding it in.
Wow. Yeah, man. Good grief. I mean, the pressures that are achieved in quite a lot of fairly humdrum everyday machinery, particularly hydraulic rams and things like forklifts, are
Right.
staggering.
Well,
And
if you have an air compressor,
yeah.
oh, sorry. If
No,
you
no,
have an
go on.
if you have an air compressor and you charge it up to 150 psi, there's nothing more than a tiny rubber gasket holding that in.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's a whole different animal when you're trying to hold pressure in and holding pressure from without.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing is that a good example is a balloon, as you say, because you can pump a balloon up to a surprisingly high pressure, but because it's all about it stretching the material, a tensile material, it's much easier to create that than it is to make a submarine, which ultimately doesn't have to necessarily undergo all that much pressure to sort of be a killing environment for humans. You end up being massive so they can take great depths, but it doesn't take that much to be beyond the limits of human capacity anyway, really. Let's see now.
I think
Dick.
we should. I just quickly. I think we should switch from balloons to condoms and just make it a little more interesting for everybody to visualize.
Why not? Why not? I second that motion. Absolutely.
Nobody wants those to break.
We're doing society a favor. We're testing at the same time, right?
I want to see if one can make it to space. That'd be great. Imagine it floating all those miles down. It could land anywhere. You'd have to put a message in it, wouldn't you? From the great people of the United Kingdom. God save the Queen.
I once heard someone say, what if someone was doing the act in space and performed coitus interruptus? What would that be like with the stuff floating around?
Oh, that's not good.
We should ask 1 Minute Debunk, because in the chat right now he says, well, I'm wearing several condoms right now. So maybe he's the one to ask.
At least the man's nice and safe, right? You've got to applaud.
You can
that.
never be too safe.
Absolutely. Unless you cut off blood supply. Now, sarcastic
Factard just said 1 Minute Debunk. Have you got a minute?
Oh, terrible.
That's brilliant. I love that. But sorry, sarcastic barman's been waiting so patiently so long. It's time he had a word. Hello, buddy. How are you doing?
That's all right. Yeah, I was going to say a bit about the soda cans as well, because we have soda cans nowadays are 0.097 millimeters thick, which doesn't sound a lot, but then
less than
just
the mil. Wow.
Basically, yeah, just the heat shield on the lunar module was 0.2 millimeters thick. The main skin of the module was thicker itself, and then it still had the aluminium standoff. What else did it have in there? Obviously, the Mylar heat blankets and stuff like that. So overall, the thickness of the ship between the skin, the structure, and everything else, it's going to hold the pressure happily. So, yeah. But they don't take this into account, really.
It's also worth pointing out, I don't know if anyone of you ever really closely looked at the LEM or the landing module, but it wasn't designed to be aerodynamic. It's covered in edges and angles, and so is the interior of the cabin. Now, because of what Schrodinger's cat was saying about sort of how pressure works, is actually that's a really ungainly shape to be trying to put pressure inside of to hold it against things. All those edges and corners are not great. So as thin as it was, that was far thicker than it even technically needed to be. If you only needed to make, a single skinned structure to survive the pressure differential of 5 psi, it could be like half or a tenth of the width of a foil can. All you would need would be the heat shielding. The actual structure would be meaningless. Now, Logical Troglodyte, you've also been quietly waiting sidelined. So why don't you jump in now and tell us what you're thinking?
Actually, I've been watching our little resident troll Shite Shovel. He thinks he's going to report us to YouTube for DMCA.
What?
Yeah, it's like, one, fair use, dummy. Two, it's not your freaking content. And three, go ahead. I dare you. I'd love to see you in court. And oh, by the way, some of your comments are starting to push the envelope, Shite Shovel. Slow your roll. First and only warning.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know what?
Indeed. And if Logical Troglodyte's telling you that, then you know it's important. Chipmunk.
Yeah, I replied to that comment. There's no point because they file one every week anyway, and a member of our team appeals, and we win fair use.
We've won a few. You're not lying.
We've got
there.
quite a good record. I haven't checked lately, but we had 4, and I know 3 of them went by fine. So I've got to check that last one and see what we're doing. But the thing is, we are very careful about what we do. We have an educational basis. We use satire against it. We use the appropriate amount of content. I mean, we literally do. Not only do we categorize as fair use, but we categorize under each of the 4 pillars under which it stands. We are as fair use as it's possible to fucking be, right? Literally.
Yeah,
That's
right.
why we don't even bother putting.
He's muted himself.
Oh,
there we go.
He muted himself. What a plum.
You're back.
Blimey. Yeah, good. Basically, we're fine. Anyway, moving on. I've got Logical Troglodyte.
I think Mr. Jimbell stepped on the mute button.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll go with that. Logical, I just spoke to you. Sorry, did I cut you off before you finished your point, or was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, that was my point. But if you really want me to make another, I certainly can. I'm full of crap. You know me.
Well, I know for a fact that Amy has got a couple of comments for us, so I'm going to turn to her next, but then I'll go straight back to you. So, Amy Hogan.
Yes, I have a couple. Forever Learning said, I hope anti-vaxxers are a self-eliminating species. And
Let's hope it is a dead end.
Yes. And there is one situation where vacuum really sucks. It's when you get shoved out of a spaceship airlock without a spacesuit. Pie Parrot says, yeah. Pie Parrot says, now I can't sleep in case I miss something. Scott math is something that afflicts anyone than flurfers. And Forever Learning says, pressure demo, heat up an empty tin can with a small hole in it, then solder the hole closed and throw the can in cold water. Look what happens.
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's funny you should say that because it's sort of what this video has been showing on a grander scale. If we ever get back to it, we'll be able to point it out. Now, Dead Kennedy in Space, you've got something you wanted to add, right?
Yeah, just, I mean, we're watching a video from Bob, pardon me, Bob and Jaron. So the two things I have to say are Bob, a 15 degree per hour drift, and Jaron, that's interesting.
It's marvelous. We've got these just 2-word combos that describe their entire lives in a nutshell up to this point. All those years of debating and nonsense they were spouting, and what it basically boils down to is you proved the globe and you did it so badly the entire community ejected you, and you are still an idiot 5 years later.
That's like my favorite running Simon Dan gag is anytime Bob Nodell comes up, it just cuts to that clip from Beyond the Curve.
Yes, it's actually time. God bless. Dick Dawson, what did you have to add?
Well, actually, there's a great comment from Dark Knight Apologetics. Jimbojo needs a join button with a tier that allows you to play with Mr. Jimbells.
I responded to that.
Did you indeed? I'll have to check that one later on. Right, let's see. I think it's. Oh, sorry, Dick. Did you want something to add, mate?
Well, I was just gonna say everybody likes the little debunking kitty. It's that attitude. I'm so nice and yet I am such a jerk, all wrapped up into one fluffy little kitty. It's perfect.
It's a polite little accent, isn't it? That's what it is. I can tell people to fuck off in very, very nice terms, and they're just like, I say, old chap, do you mind awfully fucking off? You're getting in the way. You're being somewhat of an act, and people go, oh, I'm terribly sorry. Let me just get out of your way, sir. Fucking amazing it is.
And I just go, why don't you fucking do one, you globe-denying fucktard.
And yet they crowd
he
around.
won't even play with Jaronism's lasers.
That's amazing. Right, look, we've still got a little bit of video to go. I'm going to suggest to Mr. Tatty Bogle that we carry on.
Jaron sent me this particular video, which we're about to watch, just before the show, and I about fell off my chair when I saw this. Talk about science going backwards and the fraud of science. Jaron, I don't even know how to introduce this video. Anything you want to say about it before I play it?
No, somebody sent it to me on Skype and said, "Did you hear this before? That the walls of the LEM were 2 sheets of foil thin." And I was like, "What?" And so I watched it, and yeah, I immediately sent it to you because I couldn't believe what he found. But this is great.
I can't either. So you guys listen up to this. You're not going to believe it.
Good engineering.
and mind you, before I play this, I want to remind everybody that we're talking about a 10 to the negative 17th torr vacuum, right? That this craft is supposed to be holding out. And this is NASA people themselves talking about this. So hold on to your chair so you don't fall out of it. But here we go.
So I'm going to play a clip about the construction of the LEM. Hold on a second.
The skin on the crew cabin was very thin, and that was all done because of weight savings. Weight was a very critical item that always had to be considered in anything that you did.
If you really took your finger and poked hard at it, you could poke right through the outer skin of the spacecraft. It was about the thickness of 2 layers of aluminum foil. But it's the kind of thing that you were reasonably cautious that you didn't jab any pointed objects through.
Okay. Hold on, one more.
The skin, the aluminum alloy skin of the crew compartment was about 12 thousandths of an inch thick. That's it.
How about that? Schrodinger's cat.
Oh, I don't always have to be first, but I appreciate it. This goes back to the thing with my the video that I made about Riley thinking that numbers above 0 but below 1 are negative. It's not a negative number. Okay. If you go to the LIGO and the 4-kilometer legs of each leg of the LIGO detectors are 10 to the negative 9 torr. The difference between 10 to the negative 9 and 10 to the negative 17 are infinitesimal, because each decimal place that you go out is 1/10 of the one before it. They don't seem to understand this, and they think that they think that a vacuum is a force. It's not. I can't expound on that anymore. If you either get it or you don't.
Well, absolutely. Now, Dead Kennedy in Space, I know you've got something to add on the subject.
Well, yeah, just as soon as he said 10 to the negative 7, 10 to the negative 17, all I could think was relative 0. Just call it relative 0. Because it's not exactly 0, but it might as well be. And that's all it is. It's like, I feel like he throws 10 to the negative 17 there because it throws people off. It's a number that the average person just goes, whoa, that's big and scary. I don't know what that means.
Well, yeah, I think just enough people remember just enough like math from school to know that when you see that little number above, it's about order of magnitude or something. So you see 10 to the power 100, and that's a big number. So when they see the negative next to it, it doesn't really compute that what they're talking about is a different set of scales. It's the same thing. It's still a big number, and it's just part of Bob Nadell's classic con man game of, baffling him with bullshit. Sarcastic Barman, I see you on the list. What did you want to add, mate?
Yay! I was just going to say, they keep going on the 10 to the negative 17. That's not what it would have been just outside of our atmosphere, though. I mean, outer space ranges from 10 to the negative 6 to 10 to the negative 17.
Absolutely.
They're taking the worst possible pressure it could be, which would be flying through interplanetary space. I know there are areas where it'd be like more or less, whatever. But between here and the moon, it's not going to be as bad as they're claiming it's going to be, especially on the way up and things like that. They're going to go, yeah, and then you get to the moon, and we now know there is the very slightest pressure on the moon. It's not much, but it's still, again, not 10 to the negative 17.
It's because it's in now. Someone had to tell me this before. I can't remember what it's called. It's like something like the geosphere or the geocorona, and because it's within the geocorona, it's technically in atmosphere, and so it's technically got a pressure. So it's much more likely to be nearer the 10 to the -6 sort of range. Jump at the drunk monkey. I saw you on the list, but then you disappeared. Did you have something to add, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. They think that it sucks. They think it's like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
That's what they're thinking. It's just going to suck everything out into space. Like, what the fuck?
I know. I just don't
like
understand.
someone, I forget who it was on the panel, said, like, it's not a force.
Well, no, it's basically about like that whole suction from vacuums thing. That's not suction. It's if anything, it's the opposite. What's happening is you've got
It's
a
a
fan
balance.
move some air around that creates a
blowing
pressure
it one out,
differential,
one
and more
end,
air
pulling
moves
it
in to
through
fill the
the
gap,
other end.
right? Yeah, it's all about pushing forces. Essentially, you've got these individual molecules are all bouncing around all the time, and if you suddenly introduce a space, guess what? They fill the space. It's not rocket science. Although I suppose in some ways,
Right.
it is.
Anthony Riley likes to use the term of the atmosphere bursting into space.
Yeah.
He actually says that.
It's quality. Dear,
I was just going to say, don't forget from Dell, everything's a pull, nothing's a push anymore. Everything pulls.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's come up a lot recently, though, this week. We were talking about it in the green room. Yeah, Barman, always you with that joke. Hey. But yeah, we've been talking about that a little bit in the green room, how it seems to be a theme that's coming up recently, is this reviewing gravity as a pull force. Now, someone put a video out today. Can you remember who it was?
Oh, I've not watched many today, so I'm not sure.
Oh,
No.
That was 1 minute debunk.
Yes,
That's right.
That's it.
That's
1 minute
it. I knew
debunk.
it.
I knew I'd seen it. I had a cigarette and watched that.
Well, look, he's in the chat, so I suppose if you're watching and you want to ask some questions, he's the man to go for right now. Now, I see Logical Chocolate wants to add something. Hello, buddy.
Yeah, one thing they said in that video that just totally set my teeth on edge was he used the phrase the fraud of science. Now, these are jackasses who are started out by listening to an undereducated yoga instructor and a disgraced medical doctor who faked his findings. Seriously?
Oh, did it surprise you though? Really? I mean, I know it's heartbreaking, but it just fits into the puzzle of stupid things that get said, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. Quiet John was right. The ability to speak does not denote intelligence.
Sadly, yeah, parrots can do it, although they probably are brighter than the average flirt because they manage to navigate along magnetic lines. Sarcastic Barban, I see you on the list. Hello, mate. What did you have to add to the pile?
He literally just.
Oh
said
no,
be right
he's
back.
just disappeared. Just as he sent me a comment to say he had a comment, he's also left. So, Schrodinger's cat, I can see you wanted to add something. How about you?
Well, if you are a flurf and you think that there's a push and not a pull, or you think there's a pull and not a push, then you were never a teenager, because I spent all those years trying to do both.
That's brilliant. That's proper Shills tone. He knows this show.
That just reminded me of a song. If you're a flurf and you think you know it, no you don't. If you're a flurf and you think you know it, no you don't.
Go on, finish the song. We're all on the edge of our seats. No, I won't do that. No, look, I'm going to turn back to Tatty Bogle, I think. We've still got about a minute remaining on the video. So can we jump into where we were? Or if we hit back into the start from the beginning again?
No. There's 10 seconds on the video. Like, it's done.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that's brilliant news. Well, look, in that case, some final
and we got a drop?
Okay. Oh, am I here? Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God for that. That's happened a little bit recently. Sorry about that.
Hear a drunk?
Maybe that's what it was. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the table once and get some thoughts on what we think about the show, and then we're going to do one more and say goodbye, I think, because we're getting towards the end now. So first, Amy Hogan, I want to check if there's got any comments or questions from the chat you wanted to bring up now.
Yes, I just wanted to shout out Michelle Dessert. She's wonderful. She said that she loves us and that we rock. So
thank you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, not a bad comment at all.
So much positive comment. Thank you for that. That's brilliant. Sorry, go on, Jamie.
Yeah, and that was it pretty much.
Okay, well, look, thanks ever so much to all the. Actually, I mean, thanks to everyone watching. Right, we're all getting great comments. I get them on my personal chat, my personal channel, as well as seeing them on the Shills ones. Like, we've had overwhelming support from people watching, and we're all like dreadfully grateful, really, aren't we?
Indeed.
Right, listen to that resounding throng. Now, Schrodinger's cat. What do you think of the show so far? We had a good chance to chat to you earlier on, and we've only done a sort of a limited amount of video. But what do you think to these claims that we've been looking at today?
Again, I'm just happy as fuck to be here, and anybody listening, subscribe if you would be so kind. And flirts are stupid.
Well, we should say the same for you. Obviously, we think Schrodinger's cat's amazing. You do brilliant videos. If you're not already subscribed, obviously get the hell over there. Sub, like, hit all the buttons. You know the routine. We're really grateful you came on. That's why we invited you on again. You're a really good panelist. You're always great to talk to. You've always got some great thoughts. I suppose for the minute, I'll move on to Dead Kennedy in Space. Get some thoughts on what you thought of the show, and if you've got any more shilling coming up for the sort of the week coming that you wanted to get out to people before we say goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great show. It's like I said, it's always a great time. These are like the highlights of my week now, these shows. And thanks very much to Schrodinger for coming. I want to say your debate, Schrodinger, with Flat Earth Fokker is still to date possibly my favorite Flat Earth debate, because it is
indeed
such an absolute slaughter. Like,
you have no idea how much good you did for my channel with the video you did about that. I got, I think, 100 subs in a day.
Oh, fantastic.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. As far as shilling for myself, I mean, I've got a few things coming, but it's hard to describe. Basically, I'm trying to wrap up regular Flat Earth videos, because I just, like we said before, it is dying. So I'll still occasionally do the occasional specific debunk, towards someone specific, but
sure.
The Flat Earth Mental Illness series, I've said all I can say there. I've said all I can say on the subject without responding to somebody specific. So I'm going to move on to other woo and real science pretty soon. And once again, thank you to Dr. Bob for the shout out, because some people are mentioning it, and goddamn, like 300 subs overnight. It's incredible.
That's crazy. What a cool guy. All right, well, thank you so much for that, Dead Kennedy in Space. Next, I'm going to go on to Dick Dawson. What about you? You got any stuff coming up now? I know, because you are a super dad, I mean, that's what we all call you back at the den, and you've basically just started homeschooling your son, which is incredibly impressive. Well done. Obviously, your time is, like, woefully overspent at the moment, so if people are expecting help from him with their projects, you can bugger off for the next few weeks, I can tell you, because he's busy. But have you got anything that you want to tell people about that you have got planned coming out in the next few weeks or months, or I don't know, up to you really?
Well, you really introed that awesome, because another super parent here with a special needs kid, Amy Hogan, with us today on the panel. Well, her and I coming up, we don't have a lot of details yet, but we're essentially going to be starting a channel that will be focused on autism in the family, the parents, the kids, the adults will bring the kids on the show, and it'll just be this giant craziness where we try to get some topics talked about, and the kids get in the way, and it'll be really cool. It should be awesome.
That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and if we can go to Amy right after, she can expand on, what she wants to bring to it and what we're going to do and stuff, and that'd be really cool. So, we'll keep you updated, but it's coming soon.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, it's funny you should say that, because next on my list is Amy Hogan herself. What have you got you wanted to add?
Yeah, I'm all excited about this new show. We're going to be able to allow our kids to just come on and say something too if they like. And I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really good for them, because he likes to come out and peek, and he really wants to say something. So, okay.
Nice.
And I just wanted to thank everyone for coming tonight. I appreciate it. And thank you, Schrodingers, for coming on.
Yes, ma'am. And please, if I could butt in for just a second, please include me on that, because my son is he has a mild Asperger's.
Oh, okay.
And, he loves to be on camera and talk, and
cool.
I think he would be a nice addition to whatever you're doing.
Excellent. We'll be in touch real soon then, because we figure we're literally about 2 weeks away from having everything set so we can start, booking and planning. So that'll be our time frame. We'll be in touch through that time period for sure, Schrodinger. Absolutely.
Yeah, please do so.
Isn't this great? This is magic
Excellent.
in the making in front of your very eyes, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all planning to put this in your diaries and go and check it out, because it's going to be fantastic. Next on the list, Jumpman the Drunk Monkey. Oi, oi, sir. What about you? What do you thought about the fucking nonsense we've been looking at today? And what else have you got for the people at home?
Well, it was absolute fucking nonsense, really.
Was it not?
Yeah. I mean, when I watched it, I just thought, yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's absolute bollocks.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The cold, empty
What I
feeling.
will say is I will, one thing, shite shovel, own me, bro. You couldn't even own your own pet fucking gerbil without your mum giving you a hand.
Oh, it's on. I want to
And
see you two
everybody,
debating
right,
now.
please, Bert Rickles, check his channel out.
Yeah.
I'll
Bert
put a
Rickles,
link
absolutely.
in the chat again.
I'm literally putting that into my my side tab now, so I don't forget to go and watch it. Brilliant. All right, well, thank you very much indeed, Jumpman and Drunk Monkey. We will see you next Saturday, I hope. Well, that's a long silence, so I'll assume that's a no. Right.
Fucking well, bruv.
Oh, lovely.
I
Sarcastic.
said you fucking will, bruv.
There we go.
Lovely. Oi, oi, geezer. See you there. Fantastic. Sarcastic Barman, I owe you a space in the madness. What have you got to say, buddy?
Yay! Let's just say that video was crazy. Schrodinger's cat, you are awesome. Great to have you on the show again. It's been great talking to you properly a bit more today. I'm going to shill myself because I've got a video coming out tomorrow. A special video because I didn't swear in it, so that's fucking amazing. But I'd also like to do a big shout out to Rider of Dinosaurs. He did one of my videos as a mirror, but bleeped out all my swearing, which is fucking amusing to watch. He is, and fair play. I got about 30 subs off it. Not as many as some people got off mirrors, but I'm still well chuffed at that. And yeah, so go and check his channel out as well. I get to shield someone else and check out the video because it was funny as fuck.
Oh, well, brilliant. Well, look at that. As ever, the professional bringing us all back into line and showing us how it's done. Well, second, we've got elder statesman of the group, Logical Troglodyte. Hello, sir. Are you going to make the tone even more highbrow?
Not actually. I'm looking at about 41 hours without sleep at the moment. My brain has turned to mint jelly.
What a trooper.
Yeah, I get in a blister on my finger from watching all the stupid.
Excellent. Well, look, in that case, I'll just give you a chance to either say goodbye and chill out for anything you've got coming that you'd like to.
Just the stuff I talked about at the beginning of the show. I think I mentioned that Babes has got a 100 sub special coming up. So thanks everybody for showing her some love on her channel. She really appreciates it. She's been wearing a cheesy grin for the last 24 hours when she found out she hit the 100 mark.
Awesome. Oh, I love the stuff that Babes has been doing. The Idiot Report on the Saturday show that we do is epic. It's a shame that we don't get one every single week, but I mean, I know how busy your life is. So it's just these brilliant, when these little presents turn up for us, and it's like, oh, another Babes Report is here. We'll stick it on and we'll watch it in the green room before she starts. She's really doing great. Right, look, I'm going to turn back to Schrodinger's cat because I did ask you, obviously, what you thought of the video, but I wanted to give you one last chance to chill out with yourself. Is there stuff you want to mention? Other people have mentioned, people out there, places, resources? Just now's your chance to go kind of crazy.
Oh, I just want to thank you all for your hospitality. You've been too kind and over exaggerating my video skills. But
not a chance.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to come back at any point that you would like. I hope that I can keep producing content after the start of my new job, but that comes first. Got to feed the family. And if I could ask a favor of Drunk Monkey for my wife, if you could make me a soundbite, and if you would just sort of shout out, "Hey Nicole, oi fucking oi."
Yeah, look at that.
Hey Nicole, oi fucking oi.
Wow.
You could have made it sexier.
Oh, we'll get recordings, don't you worry. We'll get Tom in, we'll get his mic up, we'll get half a dozen different ways. Oi, fucking oi, Mr. President. We'll get every single way we can at you. It'll be amazing.
I'm gonna download this and cut that out, and I think I'm gonna make that a ringtone.
Yeah, your first ringtone. You're famous.
Fucking
Amazing.
I love it.
Well, now look, I'm going to give everyone on the panel, one final chance if there's anything they want to throw in there, because if not, I'm going to add my final thoughts and we're going to say goodbye. So now's your chance. Anyone?
Yes.
I got something.
Oh,
I
you got
want to
two.
everybody that's watching this, you're obviously into this kind of content and so on. Do yourself a favor. Every now and then, instead of just going to the same channels you always do, give it a search. See what you find. There's a lot of good new creators coming out, and you just might surprise yourself. Go for it.
Nice. Well said, that man. Now, we've also got Chipmunk the Jump Monkey who wants to jump in, and then Dead Kennedy next. Chipmunk.
Hey, Nicole. Oi, fucking oi.
I had to hold myself from laughing so that I didn't ruin that. That was amazing. Sexy Chipmunk. Chipmunk the sexy monkey. Brilliant.
My
now
God,
Dead
it
Kennedy
works
in
for
space.
me.
Wow, you moved him. That's brilliant. Yeah, Dead Kennedy in space.
I
What about you,
just
mate?
pushed
You had one
and
more thing
pulled.
to add. I love talking with vets. They're just
What was
brilliant.
I
They
missed
always
that?
back on lines, man. Oh, we'll have to play it back to you, mate. It was genius. Dead Kennedy in space. I keep talking over. It's your turn, mate. What did you want to say?
All I have to say is the Earth is a globe, vaccines cure disease, and shite shovel is a Poe.
Yay!
Yeah.
Here.
Here, fucking here. Right, look.
The
that's your lot, I
vaccines
think,
calls
folks, isn't it?
adults.
Yeah, vaccines calls adults.
That's genius. I love that.
And if you don't hit the share button, Jim Bojo will cry and probably sell his cat.
No,
So make
Mr.
sure you hit the
Jimbles
share
will
button.
cry. Imagine poor little Mr. Jimbles just tearing his little face out. Oh, they didn't love us. It's terrible. You wouldn't want to hurt him, would you?
Yeah.
Now,
If you
sorry.
love Jim
Don't
Bojo,
dare
hit
make
the share button.
Yeah, don't you dare make that cat cry, because I got a foot
Absolutely.
shape just for your ass. So do it.
Would Jim Bojo
Oh.
sell the cat, or would the cat sell Jim Bojo?
Oh, he'd
That's up in the
sell
air.
me. He just keeps me around to keep the fridge full, honestly.
I tell you what,
That's
you can
it.
see who the boss in that relationship is.
Yeah.
It isn't you, pal.
Straight up. I won't deny it. Look, I think that's it. We've had our fun. That's your lot, folks. It's been another great one. I'm pretty glad you could join us all once again. I've certainly had a blast, and I hope you did too. If you didn't forget, there's something I'm supposed to remember to tell you about buttons and liking and subscribing. I'm sure you remember what. I'm sure it wasn't important. Needless to say, we'll be back again with more great guests, shameful charlatans, as well as a healthy handful of silly shills. So come back Saturday, and we'll see you there. Meantime, it's a very good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are from me, and I'll hand you over one last time to Mr. Dick Dawson to send us off into that sweet night. Mr. Dawson.
Ladies and gentlemen, is flat Earth dying or is it mutating? It is a disease after all. We can't be sure. You have to protect yourself in these matters and get vaccinated. Get down to a library and read a fucking book. It could save your life. I'm not kidding. Thanks again to Schrodinger's cat for joining tonight. Absolutely fantastic time. Loved having you on. And on that note, everybody, let's say goodnight. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Catch
Good
you
night,
on the
everyone.
flip side.